I wanted to talk about the RFK and the food dye
Mm,
situation.
mhm.
Let me pull this up to do like my normie like lib cred here. Let me pull up the New York Times article. I just read about this, so we can jump off from this particular article. I think it's a good place to start.
I couldn't be
So
more excited to talk about this. This is one of this like just hearing about it on the news the other day or whatever news source I caught it from. It got me a little emotional, actually.
mm,
Yeah. What did the New York?
emotional. Oh
Yeah.
well. Oh, let's start there. Okay, let's start there. What was your emotion when you heard this? I'm gonna play
Oh,
Oprah. I feel like this is the Oprah question.
oh yeah. I had a total Oprah moment. Absolute. You know. Oh, oh, oh my. Like I totally had a like I never thought in my lifetime I'd see it. Like that was I don't know what that emotion is. Is it like ennui or like just some kind of like metaphysical, like the pain of hope? You know what I mean? Like the pain of a hope lost and reignited.
So okay, so what drives your enthusiasm for food dyes being banned? Is it the idea that you're worried for your health personally and you don't like them in your food? Is it yeah, explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I
Because
think
I'm like, I'll just to throw it out there, I'm interested in the fact that basically no science ever is settled on this. And
right,
like we ban some dyes that Europe allows, Europe bans some dyes that we allow. No
right.
one fucking knows. The studies are all out. You can't, it's very hard to study this.
Yeah.
And in general, like this is what the New York Times article says, just to throw it
Mm,
out there too.
mhm,
Like sure, it's definitely not bad to
mhm,
ban the food dye in your mac and cheese, but that's not what's bad for you. It's the mac and cheese itself. Like, don't
mm,
like for sure ban the
mm.
yellow in your mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Also, don't like pretend like you're gonna be healthier because there's some like one less ingredient in your mac and cheese. The whole thing is ultra processed, like effectively poison that you're consuming. So just don't eat the mac and cheese.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit overblown to think that like the food anything that has a food dye in it is unhealthy, basically, like kind of full stop. So whether or not the food dye is in there, don't eat that type of thing anyway. That's a hot take from the New York Times, which I agree with. But yeah, uh,
Which is so funny because like I had not come up with it in my mind yet, but when I heard it a couple days ago, I thought to myself, okay, well, the way that our current informational ecosystem works, some liberal publication is going to twist itself into the most elaborate shape of pretzel to find a way that this is like meaningless and not important, and just because it's coming out of the Trump administration, which I find kind of endlessly entertaining, like just the absolute I don't the sailor's knot that people will twist themselves into. But I look, my
I
views.
don't think it's a sailor's knot. I think this it's embracing reality that like no one's like to be fair, the New
Mhm,
York Times, me, everybody is like, dude, yeah, let's ban the food dyes.
yeah.
No one is like, please don't ban these. Everyone's like, yeah, let's ban them. But then the follow up is like, let's not pretend like this is going to make you healthier. That's the
Yeah,
fault. That's the view,
but
I
it's
think.
like but I think even just like just the energy of throwing a caveat after like we should ban food dyes but is already like this kind of bizarre way to hedge against the idea's importance as like which I think is part and parcel with the way the corporatocracy has infected the minds of most Americans when it comes to defending bizarre shit that is so counterintuitive. I mean, it really my
Well, like if someone were to say to me, you have a choice, you're the
yeah.
emperor of the world, you have a choice. Are you going to ban food dyes so that it like a certain part of the population gets like more excited than is perhaps warranted? Or should you just ban ultra processed foods?
Mm,
Dude, I'm banning ultra processed foods every day, even if it's gonna like make me look like a dictator.
mm.
And it's going to put businesses out of business. You know what I mean? Like, because that's the thing that matters. It's ultra processed food.
I think there's
It's kind of it's just like you're just pretending like this is a big deal.
I don't
if
think
you
so.
just ban the food dyes.
I think you're on a different order of magnitude of impact on the human body when you're looking at like uh truly artificial structures being introduced into food. So it's a non-food item in the food, right? Like we're looking at a purely non-food item in the food. So
Yeah,
we're
but
already
I just no, but
causing
that's most things. Like to be fair,
yeah.
most things that are in ultra processed foods, it's a lot of that shit. And the food dye is like the most minimal ingredient of. I just actually looked up for fun. I actually
Yeah.
I looked up. We're looking at a picture here of Hawaiian punch. So I looked up the ingredients,
Yeah.
and so the biggest fucking ingredient, it's water and high fructose corn syrup. Like
Right.
food dye doesn't even show up as like yeah,
But
it has red
it's
40
corn
and blue
syrup.
1, but those are but it has sucralose, potassium sorbate,
Mhm.
sodium
Mhm.
hexametaphosphate,
That one.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to help extend the shelf life. It's got all this like utter bullshit in it, and
Yeah.
sure, it's got red 40 and blue 1, where the fuck,
Yeah.
but like, dude, it's got okay additives, pectin, acai gum, ester gum, and then others that don't show up on this list and others. So, dude, it's like this one fucking thing that's like pretending to be fruit juice. It's
Right.
all poison.
Right.
Like,
But you have to start somewhere. And I
you
think if
do. This is where I do agree with you,
but hold
100%.
on,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
back to the main point, which is that like even in the nomenclature, ultra processed, like you're ultra processed what? It's an ultra processed food item that you're beginning with, and then you're processing it to the point where it's ultra stable. Like an artificial color or an artificial flavor, that's coming from a non-food source, right? Or else it would be an ultra processed ingredient. We're on it, it's a different order of magnitude, these additives, the way and here's the thing is when they say they're like, oh well, it's safe, right? It's safe in this amount, it's safe in this part per million, it's safe in this dose rate, it's safe in this like your body has ways to methylate, to to deal with truly exogenous molecules as they enter your body. There's ways for your body to get rid of this stuff, but what they don't
Sure.
have, what's not on the food pyramid or the safety information for something like an artificial flavor or an artificial color is its compounding and its compounding effect over time. That's the thing that we have we don't have a hard time studying that, but we have a probably $1 trillion industry who's in its core vested interest would love for us to not study the longitudinal effects of
I mean,
additives.
it's
But
studied. It's studied. It's just like the studies just say inconveniently we don't really know, like inconclusive. Like
well,
maybe that it has some. Well, okay. Let me actually. I want to say like one thing and read a quote. These are all great points, and actually, I'm actually totally I'm agreeing with you here, but we're gonna fight about it because it's way more fun to fight about it.
I like that.
So, yeah. So the studies say
Yeah.
like this is like the bad studies, like oh my god, this is the fear is
Uh-huh.
that food dyes make some kids sometimes have more hyperactivity and like one other like behavioral issue, and maybe there's a cognitive thing, like maybe, but like maybe like some studies show small effects, maybe.
Yeah.
um the actual problems in life, the things that are killing people and
Uh-huh.
dragging down our society and make it being a huge weight on our health system, it's
Yeah.
diabetes and obesity.
Truly.
And so
Heart
taking
disease.
out food dyes might be counterproductive because people
Mm,
who eat mac and cheese nonstop all day long and drink sodas all day long and eat cereal all day long, right? All the things with food dyes,
yeah.
they might have the illusion that now this is actually healthy because RFK took out the food dyes and they continue to eat it. And the thing that isn't just like maybe giving them mild ADHD or whatever, but the thing that's like fucking killing them is the
Yeah.
thing that now they think is safe to eat.
This
Let
is
me just read this quote, then I'll totally pass it back to you. But this quote, I
yeah.
thought this jumped out at me. You can take the yellow dye out of mac and cheese and replace it with turmeric, but you're still giving your kid a food that's ultra processed and packed with sodium, says this doctor. Like, that's the gist of kind of like where I'm coming from. And maybe one more quote here, just to you know, humor me 7.
Okay.
I'm going to pull up one more quote. Nutrition experts noted that many ultra processed foods that contain artificial dyes also contain a lot of sugar, sodium, and saturated fat, and far fewer nutrients than fresh foods do. While ultra processed foods have been linked to obesity and diabetes, there is no evidence directly linking artificial dyes to either condition, says this doctor. So yeah, that's my worry, is that people might think that now this is going to make them healthier so that it's safe to eat, when it's like, no. Like, just don't fucking eat this shit. You know, that's the bottom line. Okay, back to you.
I pray for my sake that liberal publications don't tune into this podcast to listen to your absolute absurdist take on why banning food dyes is not important. It's so convincing. It's so convincing. It's so deflective. It's so effective. It's so beautiful, Peter.
But like, what if the food dye is actually
absurd.
like, what would the studies say is the food dye is like maybe sometimes might have some small minor harmful effects? Like that's what we know. Like, we know nothing but that, right?
Two things. One, studies are studies. I think, you know, to the point of this podcast so often, that that's something that AI is going to revolutionize, because it's going to be able to fully model the complex systems in real time that it takes to figure out what the effects are of these things on these cellular structures, because each person is different, metabolizes things differently. Studies are only so effective and they're only so large, and depending on who's funding them, they have a very specific goal in mind that they're trying to get to. Now,
but they're also all we have, right? Yeah, I'm not going to say they're at all even close to perfect, but it is all we have.
But we also have common sense, though. We also have common sense.
The common sense is, don't eat the mac and cheese, don't eat the cereal, don't drink the fucking soda. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we know. For like, every scientist on the entire face of the planet says, don't eat this shit, full stop. Not like, oh, take out the food dye, but like, don't fucking eat the thing anyway. Here's a good way to not eat the food dye: don't eat the thing.
Yeah, but then it's so funny, because then, okay, now we pull out into an even larger system of unhealth and we have a mental health epidemic. Do you think, like, most people who are happy living lives where they feel in at least some degree fulfilled, that it's not just a cage that contains their existence, are not eating enough of any of this stuff to get to the point where it's a problem, right? Like, when we're thinking about people with heart disease and obesity, this is people that are eating sadness, man. You know what I mean?
It's I'm with you there.
It's like, because the ingredients are only as effective as the quantity that you're eating them in. You can eat some mac and cheese if you there's people that have lived for, you know, whatever, the Big Mac guy. He was like not a huge guy, but he ate a Big Mac like twice a day for like 30 years, but he only ate 2. You know,
we can all name an old person who ate a donut every day and lived to 95 perfectly healthy. Like, I know multiple old people in that category. So exactly, you're right. If you have a healthy life, I guess just one little pinpoint, because it's personally affecting my life or whatever, is I don't like the fact that every time I take my daughter to literally any restaurant ever, the kids menu, it's always mac and cheese and something fried, like chicken fingers or whatever, you know what I mean? Or tater tots or something. Yeah. And it's like, I get it, kids are picky, but my daughter like loves broccoli. Like, she literally every night we do steamed broccoli. Like, I don't know, like, just expand that kid's menu at some level. Like, if I were RFK, I would give some sort of a tax incentive or something to restaurants that expand their kids' menus to make it so that every time you take your kid out to a restaurant, they don't have to eat this insanely over processed food. There's nothing else that they can eat. Or because, like, you know, adult food is spicy. It's not like I can just like give her some of my food. There's like fucking jalapenos in my food. I can't give it to her.
Man,
I don't know.
It's so crazy you say that, because I was at the hospital yesterday for a doctor's appointment, and I had to wait for a prescription, and I was walking around the hospital, and I just kind of scoped out all the food that they had going on there. And it was devastating. It was like every doctor, every nurse, there's a Starbucks in there. They're not walking around with a cup of black coffee. They're walking around with a giant clear cup of something with whipped cream on top and sugar. And, the cafeteria was all super high sodium, super high sugar food, crap ingredients. Everything looked very cafeteria. And I'm like, this is the place where people are supposed to go to get better from being sick. And this is also the place where people are supposed to be at their absolute sharpest and brightest to help the people get better who are sick. And we're feeding them something that just turns the human experience into like a slow moving syrup puddle. You know what I mean? It's like high blood sugar, high sodium, inflammation. They just create a clouded experience in the human body and in the human condition 9 times out of 10. Look, there's people that are outliers that are joyful and have energy and focus and are, exuberant, that are, hugely overweight. It happens. It is not the normal condition that most people who find themselves in are in.
Yeah, so like that is ironic. I gotta just for fun, I gotta pull up another piece of irony here.
Can I just
bear
say
with me? Absolutely.
Can I just say, here's my hot take. Only food should be in food. I'm just gonna let that percolate. Only food items. Can I just really quick? I need this 10-second, this 30-second segue. Artificial colors and artificial dyes, do you know where they come from? They're parts of the petroleum derivation chain, the chain where crude oil turns into gasoline. Somewhere in there, that's where the vast majority of artificial additives come from. And that's why we consider them to be artificial. It's pretty hard. There's not like a bunch of like scientists like hard at work. There is, to create this stuff, but mostly it's byproduct. And I've always, let me give you my little conspiracy theory. This is because my views range from reasonable to absolute crackpot conspiracy theory. Here's my Joe Rogan is that I think that these companies, these petroleum refining companies, are saving probably billions of dollars a year in having to dump all of these toxic chemicals because they happen to be yellow, or because it happens to be red, or because it happens to have kind of a vanilla type flavor to it. And they use the human, the American population as like the world's largest landfill disposal site for these toxic chemicals, man.
I want to go back a little bit to what you were saying about at the hospital the other day and the irony of that. This is my parallel worry that I have with the Trump administration. Is that, like, sure, RFK, I like nothing about the man except for the fact that I do actually like that he's getting rid of food dyes, and I think that I do think it actually is important that he's spotlighting this. As much as I love to argue with you about this, I actually think it is important and it's good. But I think that the Trump administration broadly, I think that it actually projects having an unhealthy lifestyle. And RFK doing stuff is one thing, sure, and like being buff at his age, sure. But Trump eating McDonald's and having Diet Coke, which is also full of utter shit, like nonstop, that is changing people's lifestyles and eating habits more, I guarantee, than RFK and like tweaking the dials of things we may or may not, be actually impacted by. That's my last note I just have about the RFK thing is I think that the administration that he's a part of, I think is not actually pro-health, even if they are doing some RFK isms.
I don't think so.
Dude, they're also fucking canceling like important studies on cancer and like defunding like actual real important research that is going to maybe potentially save lives. Gone. And there's like Ebola researchers that are studying the next Ebola epidemic. Gone. I mean, like that to me is just anti-health. That's like we're making ourselves more people are going to die because of that shit than like
I think so
whoever
too.
might possibly conceivably die of red number 10 or whatever.
I think so too, but I think that it's since we already live in this hybrid socialist, democracy where we socialize risk for corporations, we socialize the risk for any corporation to do anything to people. There's just a million ways for them to escape culpability, to hurt people, to kill people, to put poison in the food, to put poison in the medicine, to distribute the medicine at poisonous levels. There's no accountability for any of this stuff.
There's a lot of accountability. We just need to make sure that the accountability people, like our whole entire legal system exists to sue the fuck out of people who cause more harm than social good.
But you see it like
yes. I'm gonna dude, like it used to be easy and convenient and cost effective to put lead in gasoline. We had to restructure car engines, right? There was so much insane restructuring of society, top down, bottom up, all et cetera, to get lead out of gasoline. We did it because of lawsuits and regulations. And like, same thing with this, same thing with a lot of things. We absolutely can. And this is why you can like be in LA and breathe the air every month out of the year except for fire season, and you couldn't in the 70s, right? At all. That was a lot of work. That was actual that is why I do believe in America at some very basic level, is that we do value human life and we do value health. We just are fucking inconsistent like random about it, but I think that we do creep towards a better, healthier way of living. I don't know.
Maybe, man. I don't know if
dude, I think that you're just too cynical, because in your world we would have never gotten rid of asbestos, or we would have never gotten rid of lead. And there are so many things that we like. So many people have dedicated their lives to improving our health. And like, there's the EPA exists with like probably, I don't know, 50,000 lawyers work at the EPA. Just you got to give those people some credit, dude. I think that you do a disservice to huge swaths of our population who work like day in and day out to improve our health. Like, give them a little bit of credit, because it's not just like the evil corporations doing whatever the fuck they want. It's like, no, like, dude, it's like, I know people who work at the EPA every day. They're very passionate about this. Give those people some credit, you know?
In terms of protecting the environment, sure, but in terms of protecting the human body, like, absolutely not. Like, you can't
Dude, I just mentioned lead. That was a huge issue.
Yeah, but we're talking about pharmaceuticals, man. We're not talking about regulating like a hyper specific part of the construction.
Pharmaceuticals are regulated too. Same thing. Lots of lawsuits go on every single day. The FDA exists every single day. Very like hardworking scientists with their PhDs are hard at work making sure that the drugs that somebody's, pushing through, that it's been accurately tested, and they make mistakes. But like, dude, also give those people a little bit of credit,
No, I won't, because if you look at the amount of people in this country that are on antidepressants and the way that we prescribe things that deteriorate the human experience irrevocably over time, the way that the American medical system has failed people by pharmaceuticalizing medical care over the last like 50 to 75 years, like the way that, dude, let me give you a really good example. So I have neck pain, and I went to my doctor for help, right? And I was like, okay, do you have like a pill? I'm in a desperate situation. I don't know what else to do. Do you have a pill that'll work for neck pain? And they say, yeah, take this. It's called Flexeril. Okay, cool. Let me take some Flexeril. It works, but it makes me feel kind of weird. And so I look it up. Usually I look things up beforehand, but I've heard of this one before, and I didn't think to look it up because I know that it's generally recognized as a muscle relaxant. Well, it's not a muscle relaxant. Guess what it is? It's an antidepressant. Okay, so I go back and I say, hey, it's been making me feel kind of weird, and because it modulates neurochemical levels in my brain, right? It does nothing for pain. It's modulating my experience of pain, right? And so I go and I say, hey, and then I go to a specialist, And this is one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me. I think it really illuminates the sad state of affairs of healthcare in this country, because this woman, very smart, was like recommending books like, Unlearn Your Pain, this and that. And she goes, I'm going to prescribe you a 6-week course of a drug called nortriptyline. And I said, okay, cool. And so I go and I do my research on nortriptyline. You know what nortriptyline? It's another antidepressant. So this is twice now that they've prescribed me an antidepressant, and guess how many the prescription is for? 120 of them. And it modulates 2 critical neurotransmitters in my brain. And what's the method of action, Peter? They don't know, because we don't understand how antidepressants work in the brain. We only understand through trusting studies that it has a certain effect that is measurable in certain populations, but we do not understand the mechanism of action of these drugs. Yet 30 to 40% of people in America are on these drugs. And there's clearly financial incentives for these companies to have their specialists and their doctors prescribe these long, 6 weeks on an antidepressant could irrevocably change the shape of my life forever if I was the type of person that would just blindly trust the medical establishment. But thank the Lord I'm not. Because last thing, and I'll kick it back to you, is that, so I picked the prescription up. They're like, oh, do you want to take this nortriptyline prescription home? I said, fuck it. It's always interesting to me to have different little things that they've given me around, just to, I don't know. It's almost like like a chicken bone or something, it's like it's some weird philosopher's stone, from the future. And I take it home, and they give me the safety sheet on it, and I'm looking for the information that would tell me what it, anything about it. But it's all about suicide, Peter. It's all about how you need to tell your family that you're taking this drug just in case you commit suicide or have intense suicidal ideation. And I'm like, dude, it's just my neck hurting, right? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, this is a crazy story.
I'm like, yes, committing suicide would actually stop my neck pain, but that's not what I'm trying to do here, man.
Devin, that would stop the neck pain. No, like I'm not gonna I actually have done similar rants on my own. I am so on board with that rant. I am like fully on board with that. So I have a psychology degree.
Yes.
And this is a thing that I think is just very interesting, is that I think that psychology is it's a brand new baby field that, especially the first 50 years of its existence, everything that we were dabbling in turns out it's all crankerism. Then the next branch of it came along, all also kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
We finally have like CBT that kind of sort of works sometimes every now and then. And then now we're just still being like, I don't know, this shit's hard. And in the meantime, not for the better, but for the worse, because of that early shit that happened early on in the history of psychology, it became medicalized at some point. Yeah. And so rather than just being like, oh, let's figure out what your problems are in your life, or let's work this out, it became like, oh, here's some pills to give you. You know what I mean? Right. And that let's give some pills for you, which is not a fucking insane thing to try, especially with people with schizophrenia that you cannot walk down the street. You know what I mean? At all. Yeah. I mean, it's important, but just forgetting about all the important things about having healthy mental health, and just oh yeah, here's a pill for you. That has become dominant in this space because it's just easier and cheaper. And yeah, there's incentives, but the whole thing is we're still in our infancy with this field, and no one knows what the fuck we're doing with psychology. No one knows. And psychopharmacology, no one fucking knows. It's sledgehammers when we need a needle. You know what I mean? So I think 200 years from now, Devin, your rant is going to be people will listen to this rant and be like, what the fuck were people doing back in 2025? You know what I mean?
Oh, so much sooner than that. The singularity, man. Like when we reach the point where we can model complex systems with AI, generative AI through quantum computing is going to effortlessly model systems like the body. And it's going to change the structure of human reality as we know it, man. I hope so much that when that shift happens, that we're able to really use it in a positive way until we use it to annihilate our enemies.
Annihilate our enemies. Hey, Devon, can I play a clip?
Yeah. Oh God, please get me off this soapbox.
Okay, so I want to play a clip right here, and it's about this idea. So here's I can share this. Sorry, give me a sec. This is the CEO of DeepMind who recently said that we're going to be curing aging in the next 10 years with AI. Let me play this clip, and then we'll comment.
10 years and billions of dollars to design just one drug. We could maybe reduce that down from years to maybe months or maybe even weeks, which sounds incredible today, but that's also what people used to think about protein structures. It would revolutionize human health. And I think one day maybe we can cure all disease with the help of AI.
The end of disease?
I think that's within reach. Maybe within the next decade or so. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical of this a little bit, but like only on the time frame, just on the time frame, just because I think that when people throw out time frames, it's arbitrary. Because if someone says 3 years, it's like, okay, we'll hold it to that. We'll remember it. If someone says a decade, like everyone says a decade, like Peter Zion always says that China's going to fall in a decade. He's been saying that. I've looked for like 15 years and he's still saying it. It's that sort of, so anytime anyone says 10 years, that's like, it just indicates to me that they don't have any idea what the time frame is. But aside from that, if you take out the time frame element to it, I think this is true because I mean, like, we are running out of frontiers, like true frontiers.
Yeah. And
the human biology is a frontier that we're just going to, like, as we run out of frontiers to solve, it's going to be more and more money will be put into it naturally, I think, as the human creature is all about, like, going to the edge of the frontier. And I think that we will.
Yeah, I think if you look at I think that one of the final frontiers for us in our kind of cognitive capacity, as far as it's going to take us, is complex systems modeling. I mean, how many of our problems are just sufficiently complex that we can't intellectually model them, that we don't have computational power to model them? How many problems do we have? Now, we've solved so many of the mechanical, like, 1 foot after the other type things, but now we're looking at things like the body in a more granular way, right? In a more systematic and granular way. And it's just impossible for us to conceptualize the orders of magnitude that are at play in something like a cellular system, right? Like how many billions or trillions of cells are having interplay, and all of these kind of all these wild probabilities kind of at play in those systems, controlling a lot of the tensions on them. And I think that that's something that you would imagine, kind of understanding the place where computing is at, the place where artificial intelligence is at, that once those complex systems are able to be modeled, that it really changes our question answering matrix, right? Like we just can answer questions that have bedeviled us for the last 50 years, maybe since modern physics has kind of shifted over into more theoretical thinking again, after we've solved a lot of the kind of physical questions that we've had. What's dark matter? What is it? What's going on out there? Why do galaxies spin so fast? We don't know,
Devon. And then Jesus returns, and it's all okay. So when we run out of frontiers, Jesus returns right on cue.
Wouldn't that be the most brutal irony? It's like we finally get it. Like everything's so dialed, it's totally utopian, and Jesus is like,
"Yes,
I'm back.
Hey, I'm back, guys."
Yeah, so the rivers are going to be turning to blood next week, so innovate your way out of that.